DiMaggio is considered one of the greatest baseball players of all time. But it wasn't just his achievements in baseball that made him famous. His romance with Marilyn Monroe added a touch of Hollywood glamour to his story. Their marriage, though brief, was the talk of the town and remains a significant part of his legacy. Moreover, the despair he fell into after Marilyn's death will always remain unforgettable. Before we proceed, please subscribe to the channel. His extraordinary skills set him apart from the others and made him the superstar of millions of people. He achieved what many others dreamt of, and his achievements remain unmatched. DiMaggio's most famous achievement is his record-breaking 56-game hitting streak in Major League Baseball, set in 1941. It all started on May 15th. In that game, DiMaggio got one hit in 4 at-bats against Chicago White Sox pitcher Eddie Smith. At first, DiMaggio didn't think much of it and showed little interest in breaking the record held by George Sisler, who had a 41-game hitting streak. As the streak gained attention and DiMaggio got closer to Sisler's mark, he started to care more, saying, "At the start, I didn't think much about it, but naturally I'd like to get the record since I am this close." On June 29, 1941, DiMaggio tied Sisler's record by hitting a double in the first game of a doubleheader against the Washington Senators. In the second game, he got another hit, pushing his streak to 42 games. Fans flocked to Yankee Stadium, and on July 1st, 132 people watched DiMaggio tie the all-time hitting streak record of 44 games, set by Wee Willie Keeler in 1897. The very next day, DiMaggio hit a home run to set a new record of 45 games. He kept the streak going, reaching 50 games on July 11th against the St. Louis Browns. Finally, on July 17th, at Cleveland's Municipal Stadium, DiMaggio's streak ended at 56 games, thanks in part to 2 great defensive plays by Indians third baseman Ken Keltner. Over the course of the streak, DiMaggio batted an impressive .408 with 15 home runs and 55 RBIs. Even after the streak ended, he started another one the next day, hitting safely in 16 straight games, meaning he got a hit in 72 out of 73 games. The closest anyone has come to DiMaggio's record is Pete Rose, who had a 44-game hitting streak in 1978. During DiMaggio's streak, the Yankees went 41-13-2, showing just how much he helped his team. Many people see DiMaggio's streak as one of the greatest records in sports, one that's almost impossible to break. Nobel Prize-winning physicist and sabermetrics expert Edward Mills Purcell even calculated that to have a 50-game hitting streak happen, there would need to be 52 lifetime .350 hitters in baseball, when in reality only 3 players have ever achieved that average. Not only was he a player, but he was a glamour lover too. His 2 marriages to Hollywood actresses proved his love for glamorous women. In January 1937, DiMaggio met actress Dorothy Arnold on the set of the film Manhattan Merry-Go-Round. He had a small role and she was working as an extra. Their relationship blossomed, and on April 25, 1939, just before the Yankees were set to play the Philadelphia Athletics, DiMaggio announced their engagement. They were married later that year on November 19th at Saints Peter and Paul Church in San Francisco. The wedding drew a huge crowd, with 20,000 people filling the streets to celebrate. In 1941, they welcomed their son, Joseph Paul DiMaggio Jr., who was born at Doctors Hospital in Staten Island. However, their marriage faced challenges. Arnold wanted DiMaggio to settle down and be more present as a father and husband, while DiMaggio was still focused on his public life and baseball career. The tension between them eventually led to their divorce in 1944, while DiMaggio was on leave from the Yankees during World War II. What really added his name to the limelight was his marriage to Marilyn Monroe, and safe to say it wasn't a very smooth sailing marriage.
Well, everything has been fine. We've enjoyed our trip. The only thing that I have to complain about is I haven't seen very...
In her autobiography, My Story, co-written with Ben Hecht, Marilyn Monroe revealed that she originally didn't want to meet DiMaggio. She was worried he might be the typical arrogant athlete, and that didn't appeal to her. But despite her hesitation, they were set up on a blind date in Los Angeles, and sparks flew. After dating for 2 years, they decided to elope, getting married at San Francisco City Hall on January 14, 1954. Both Monroe and DiMaggio had dreams of starting a family, even though Monroe struggled with endometriosis, a painful condition that made it difficult for her to have children. They openly talked about their hopes with reporters, but behind the scenes, their marriage was rocky from the start. DiMaggio was extremely jealous and controlling, and his behavior often turned abusive. Monroe, on the other hand, had a busy life as an actress, which only added more tension between them. One of their biggest fights happened after Monroe filmed the famous skirt-blowing scene in The 7-Year Itch on September 14, 1954, in front of a crowd in Manhattan. DiMaggio was furious about the scene, which he found too revealing. According to Bill Cobran, who was 20th Century Fox's East Coast correspondent, it was actually director Billy Wilder's idea to to turn the filming into a media spectacle. This led to a huge argument between Monroe and DiMaggio, with them reportedly having a yelling battle right in the lobby of the theater. After returning to Hollywood in October 1954, Monroe had had enough. She filed for divorce from DiMaggio after just 9 months of marriage. Although the split seemed inevitable, Monroe was heartbroken. During the court proceedings, she was seen openly weeping, devastated by the end of their relationship. After the divorce, DiMaggio took steps to change his life. He sought therapy, stopped drinking alcohol, and began expanding his interests beyond baseball. Despite the turmoil in their marriage, DiMaggio's feelings for Monroe never faded, and he remained protective of her even after they parted ways. Monroe's unexpected passing truly shattered him and left him in despair. After his divorce from Monroe, DiMaggio was associated with many Hollywood actresses, but never confirmed his relationship with any of them. DiMaggio re-entered Monroe's life just as her marriage to playwright Arthur Miller was falling apart. On February 10, 1961, Monroe was admitted to the Payne Whitney Psychiatric Clinic in Manhattan, and it was DiMaggio who came to her rescue, securing her release. Afterwards, she joined him in Florida, where he was working as a batting coach for the Yankees. Although the two claimed they were just friends, rumors of a possible remarriage spread quickly. Reporters camped outside Monroe's apartment in Manhattan, eager to catch any sign of a reunion. Even comedian Bob Hope got in on the speculation, dedicating the song the second time around to them during the 33rd Academy Awards. According to biographer Maury Allen, DiMaggio was increasingly concerned about the people Monroe had surrounded herself with. He believed they were bad influences and damaging to her well-being. In fact, it is revealed that DiMaggio had left his job on August 1, 1962, because he had decided to ask Monroe to remarry him. Just 4 days later, on August 5th, Monroe was found dead in her Brentwood, Los Angeles home. Monroe's death was ruled a probable suicide by coroner Thomas Noguchi, though it has remained a topic of conspiracy theories ever since. On the night she died, DiMaggio's son had spoken to her over the phone, saying she seemed fine. DiMaggio was devastated by her death. He took charge of Monroe's funeral arrangements, claiming her body and organizing a private service at Westwood Village Memorial Park Cemetery. DiMaggio's love for Monroe never faded. For the next 20 years, he had half a dozen red roses delivered to her crypt 3 times a week. Despite all the speculation and attention surrounding their relationship, DiMaggio rarely spoke publicly about Monroe. When he did, he often became emotional, struggling to hold back tears. He never remarried after Monroe's death, and those closest to him believed he never stopped loving her. He was already facing a rough time, and his career-threatening knee injury made things even worse. In 1934, DiMaggio faced a serious setback when he tore ligaments in his right knee while stepping out of a jitney, an injury that threatened to end his career. But Yankees scout Bill Essick was convinced DiMaggio would recover and pushed the team to take another look at him. After DiMaggio passed a physical examination, the Yankees bought him for $50,000 and 5 players, though the Seals held on to him for the 1935 season. DiMaggio went on to bat .398, with 154 RBIs and 34 home runs that year. The Seals won the PCL title, and DiMaggio was named the league's most valuable player, setting the stage for his future success in Major League Baseball. His spectacular career with the Yankees will always be cherished. DiMaggio made his Major League debut on May 3, 1936, batting ahead of Lou Gehrig. The Yankees had not won a World Series since 1932, but DiMaggio helped lead them to 4 straight championships. Throughout his 13-year career, he guided the Yankees to 9 World Series titles, second only to Yogi Berra. In his rookie year, DiMaggio set a franchise record with 29 home runs, a record that stood for over 80 years until Aaron Judge hit 52 in 2017. DiMaggio continued to shine in 1937, leading the league with 46 home runs and 418 total bases. Nicknamed the Yankee Clipper for his speed and range in the outfield, DiMaggio won his first MVP award and batting title in 1939, helping the Yankees claim their 4th consecutive World Series. DiMaggio enlisted in the United States Army Air Forces on February 17, 1943, and eventually rose to the rank of sergeant. He was stationed in places like Santa Ana, California, Hawaii, and Atlantic City, New Jersey, where he worked as a physical education instructor. However, in September 1945, he was given a medical discharge due to chronic stomach ulcers. During his time in the military, DiMaggio's life was about as easy as it could be for a soldier. He earned $21 a month, but spent most of his time playing baseball for various teams and participating in exhibition games against other major leaguers and minor league players. Because of his fame before the war, he received some special privileges, which made his service service more comfortable. In fact, he enjoyed an athlete-only diet that helped him gain 10 pounds. While in Hawaii, he and other players often relaxed on the beach and spent their time drinking. Feeling a bit embarrassed about his laid-back lifestyle, DiMaggio asked for a combat assignment but was turned down. He became the first baseball player to earn over $100,000 in 1949. By 1950, the Sporting News ranked Joe DiMaggio as the second-best center fielder, right behind Larry Doby. However, after a rough 1951 season marked by injuries and a scouting report from the Brooklyn Dodgers that was leaked to the New York Giants, DiMaggio decided it was time to retire. Holding numerous records, including the most seasons with more home runs than strikeouts, he missed 3 seasons while serving in World War II, which likely cost him even greater career stats. DiMaggio became eligible for the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1953, but wasn't inducted until 1955. At the time, the waiting period for induction had been extended from 1 to 5 years, but both DiMaggio and Ted Lyons were exempt from the rule. DiMaggio once mentioned in a 1963 Baseball Digest interview that the Brooklyn Dodgers had offered him their managerial job in 1953, but he turned it down. After being out of baseball for years, DiMaggio returned in 1968, joining the newly relocated Oakland Athletics as a vice president. He also served as a coach for just 1 season before stepping down. Later, he was named the acting manager for the East team in the East-West Major League Baseball Classic, an event held to honor the late Martin Luther King Jr. The game helped raise money for causes King had supported, showing DiMaggio's involvement in both baseball and charitable efforts. Heavy smoking eventually led to his death, leaving everyone heartbroken. DiMaggio was a heavy smoker for much of his life, which eventually took a toll on his health. In October 1998, he was admitted to Memorial Regional Hospital in Hollywood, Florida, for surgery to treat lung cancer. His hospital stay lasted 99 days, a long and difficult period, but eventually he returned home on January 19, 1999. Sadly, less than 2 months later, on March 8th, DiMaggio passed away at the age of 84. According to his attorney, Morris Engelberg, DiMaggio's final words were deeply poignant. He reportedly said, "I'll finally get to see Marilyn," referring to his ex-wife, Marilyn Monroe, whom he had always loved and cared for, even after their tumultuous relationship and her tragic death. DiMaggio's funeral took place on March 11, 1999, at Saints Peter and Paul Church in San Francisco, a fitting location for the hometown hero. Friends, family, and fans gathered to pay their respects to the baseball legend. 3 months later, he was laid to rest at Holy Cross Cemetery in Colma, California, marking the end of a remarkable life both on and off the field. His legacy is one like none other, and it will remain that way for ages to come. On April 13, 1998, DiMaggio received the Sports Legend Award at the American Sportscasters Association Hall of Fame Awards dinner in New York City. The award was presented by former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, a longtime fan of DiMaggio. This event would be one of DiMaggio's last public appearances before he became ill. After DiMaggio passed away, his legacy continued to be celebrated. On April 25, 1999, Yankee Stadium dedicated its 5th monument in his honor, and the West Side Highway in New York was renamed the Joe DiMaggio Highway. That same year, the Yankees wore DiMaggio's number 5 on their sleeves for the entire season as a tribute. He was ranked number 11 on the Sporting News list of the 100 greatest baseball players and was also elected by fans to the Major League Baseball All-Century team. In addition to the Yankees retiring his famous number 5, the Florida Marlins also retired it in honor of their first team president, Carl Barger, who had been a huge fan of DiMaggio. In 2000, his granddaughters and their children supported renaming San Francisco's North Beach Playground, where DiMaggio first learned to play baseball, as the Joe DiMaggio North Beach Playground. In 2011, the United States Postal Service announced DiMaggio would be featured on a stamp for the first time, which was released in July 2012 as part of the Major League Baseball All-Star Stamp Series. 2 years later, DiMaggio was honored with the Bob Feller Act of Valor Award, recognizing his service in the United States Army Air Force during World War II. In his hometown of Martinez, California, the Joe DiMaggio Fields were named in his honor, ensuring his memory lives on both in baseball and his community. That is it for this one. But if you happen to like MLB legends, make sure to check out our latest videos on our channel Baseball Icons. I'm sure you will love it. Oh, and while you are at it, drop a comment telling us who to cover next, and don't forget to subscribe.